Session, wasn't it? Yes. Amen. Thank you, Rabbi Jeff. Our next set of presentations, you may ask as you look on your sheet, Kadima Talks, meaning forward, how were they put in order? Well, we're going to start off with the tallest presenter first in this room. J.K. McKee, I believe he was ordained last year at this conference, Messianic teacher, 2 years ago. What are young people really talking about? Now, we're going to do it this way, and I'm going to leave this up here so you can see your time. What are young people really talking about? You are tall, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. I hope no one is too hungover last night from all of the gorging we had in the hospitality suite. So let's get started. The biggest front in the war we are waging is seen among millennials, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. These are the people who were raised on technology. Very few of them know what a rotary phone or the yellow pages are. They have never used a pencil sharpener. They have never even fried an egg as they microwave everything. They get all of their information from electronic devices. Are any of us aware of what the nefarious matters they are exposed to and what they are seeking answers for? Now, by now, many of us are aware of how many younger persons believe that the state of Israel should be disbanded and just given over to Hamas. I am sure that many of you and your congregations, in response to what has been taking place, have rightfully delivered messages and teachings on the dangers of anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, and you have probably even made some emphasis on the end times and return of Yeshua. But there are other important matters which you need to be made aware of, as this is hardly all happening in isolation. How many of today's young people out there in the world really have no faith or foundation in any kind of religious tradition? Most of us here today were at least raised with some cultural exposure to the Bible. We knew about the early Genesis accounts, the Exodus, and the birth of the Messiah. We knew that at certain times of year, films such as the Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, and the greatest story ever told would be on television. Regardless of some of the specifics, we all thought that the Bible brought more stability and good to society than not. We at least made sure we were attending synagogue or church during certain holiday seasons because just in case there were a God, we wanted to be on the right side of God. But today, many parents are going to let their children decide for themselves when they get older to choose their own religion. While many of us may be unaware of these things, and what can sometimes, and I mean this with all the love and respect in the world, sometimes can be local congregations, Messianic fellowships, places closed off to themselves. I actually have first cousins in my own extended family whose teenage children have never read the Bible and would not even know about the events it records, even from a literary standpoint. If the time ever comes for them to make a choice about religious belief, will they even make some kind of commitment? Or instead, will they either be atheists, agnostics, or embrace some all paths lead to the universal consciousness? One of the most negative influences being witnessed today in theology is being witnessed via deconstruction. Now, on the surface, deconstruction sounds good, because it is something we have all done on some level. Deconstruction often first involves incorporating new information and perspectives into one's theology, particularly from marginalized or suppressed groups. How many people have had to reconsider some traditional approaches to the New Testament because they failed to take into account Second Temple Judaism and God's ongoing commitment to Israel and the Jewish people? Every one of us has had to account for new points of view, and make adjustments and recalibrate our beliefs. But what deconstruction has quickly become in practice is, rather than go through a theological refitting and upgrade, is that old conservative perspectives intended to control people through labels like inerrancy or traditional marriage have to be torn down. Many of those advocating deconstruction do so via some of the same interpretational methods we would all agree with. Interpret a biblical text for its original audience first. Now I really have to scream. And deduce modern applications for today. We got the sound back. Sadly, about the only thing we can presently deduce from deconstruction for sure is that it is going to make the world of biblical interpretation get more and more diverse and more complicated. The scariest of all end-time signs is actually the one thing we each have the decisive power to do something about: preventing the apostasy of 2 Thessalonians 2:3. As Messianics, many of us look at an apostasy from faith in terms of anti-missionary influence, which get many people to deny Yeshua as Messiah. This is surely something severe. But with wave after wave of hyper-progressive ideologies and deconstructing theologies hitting young people, this is hardly the only way apostasy will manifest. While 10 years ago, people would have thought I was crazy, today we have to seriously factor in how over the next 10 to 20 years, there could be an abandonment of biblical faith at the level of 70 to 80%. While for certain, true believers in the one God of Israel and Messiah Yeshua will shine and be very distinctive, a radical contraction of people affirming the Holy Scriptures as useful and profitable is something we will all have to begin to factor into our ministry battle plans. Today, deconstruction in matters like LGBTQ+, and I'm sure next year we'll add some more letters to that, agenda are accelerating apostasy. But what could literally take apostasy into light or warp speed? For many people, all it would take is what they would consider as indisputable proof that humankind is not the only civilization in the universe. For many, if extraterrestrials were proven to exist, then that would mean that sentient life could evolve independently on planet Earth and elsewhere without the need for a supreme being. To many, it would then immediately render the Holy Scriptures to be myths and fairy tales. And perhaps even more disconcerting would be the view that the miracles and supernatural actions of Yeshua of Nazareth were the result of how he was hardly the Son of God, but instead just a highly evolved alien. Today, the subject matter of extraterrestrials is not at all classified or reserved entirely for the realm of science fiction. A new area of theology has opened up, known as astro or exotheology, to probe whether or not God may have other stories playing out in the universe. Young people who watch Star Trek or Star Wars, among others, are very open to this whole issue. No different than how many of us have to be willing to walk a long path and carefully dialogue with Jewish people considering Yeshua as Messiah, or those who have questions regarding LGBTQ+ matters. We have to consider doing the very same for those who are wondering about aliens. The way I have seen it is that there are two main choices we will have in trying to help those through this issue. Number one, we can immediately dismiss these people as being deceived, telling them that aliens, extraterrestrials, are a modern manifestation of the Genesis 6 Nephilim and are all demons. And this will usually result in people turning away and immediately leaving. Or number two, we can start by agreeing with them that any extraterrestrial information released to the public is partial and or redacted. Probably in German too. So let us wait to see what things are genuinely credible and what else comes out. Let us also agree with how until Yeshua returns and tells us in person, there are things about the greater universe we cannot fully know today as limited mortals. Keeping some conversation going and not immediately dismissing those asking questions should probably keep many from just leaving. The issue of extraterrestrial intelligence is hardly something new, as it has been asked for centuries. It is not wrong to ask and sort through questions. It is not wrong to seek things out on a path to truth. And as things actually do come out, that some sort of deception is involved with these matters will more clearly reveal itself. And in view of all these controversies, yes, we are getting very close to the return of Yeshua, and these are all important road signs we have to be taking into serious consideration.
JK, where can we get a hold of you? MessianicApologetics.com? .net. MessianicApologetics.net. Blow up his YouTube feed with every conspiracy theory on UFOs. Please. Okay, Rabbi Al.